with a little motivation today. Hopefully my screen sharing works better than everything else has this morning.
Hey, Bill, while you're doing that, can I share?
Sure, please.
So my closing that I had at the end of the year actually referred me to her sister. So I have a buyer's consultation with them tonight at 6:30. And I have 2 more buyer consultations set for next week. And the people who I have under contract, I sent them Tiff treats to their job today. So I'm excited for when they receive it.
The only thing better than sending Tiff's treats is sending it to their job. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Because then they're going to be like, first of all, it's going to be way more cookies than one person should be eating.
Right. At 12.
And so they're going to be sharing, and they'll be like, where did these come from? They came from my realtor. You're like, my realtor's never sent any chocolate chip cookies. Oh, well, my realtor does. I don't know what to say. Maybe you should meet my realtor. Right? That's awesome. Awesome news. All right. Can everyone see my screen? All right. This is via Candace. Here we go.
If you want a relationship to last, if you think it's coming to the end, do what you did in the beginning and there won't be an end. Because when you think it's the beginning, you behave differently than the end. The meaning we associate to things controls our entire lives. It's not that your mother or father died that's giving you suffering. Certainly that's painful. It's the meaning you think it shouldn't have happened. When we take control of the meaning, it's the only thing we can control in our lives. We can't control events. And we're living now where technology is happening so rapidly. It's magnificent what it does for our lives. But we all know with that technology, our psychology is not developing as rapidly. And as a result, the world's changing. And a lot of us that have learned to engage with technology and use it to maximize, most people in this room, there's lots of people who use technology to disengage, to be harmful to themselves and to other people. It's not a one-way street. So I'm interested in how to maximize the psychology side. That's why I'm sharing this with you. So you can increase both your leadership skill, but who do you have to lead first to be effective, my friends? Who? Yourself. And so it's good to see what's controlling you. Well, what I'm focusing on is controlling me. You can focus on something and make yourself crazy. You can focus on something and make yourself great. In this moment, you could be worried about Ebola, because we all know it's coming. People are freaked out all over the world. 36,000 people die a year of flu, and the whole world is focused on Ebola. Because the news is not designed to inform you, it is designed to startle you. Because that's how you sell things. So if you let someone else take control of your focus, your life will be in someone else's hands. So first decision is what you're gonna focus, second meaning. My father that day focused on he had to take care of his family, and the meaning was, I know what it was because he said it out loud, that I'm worthless. And when you come up with a meaning, it produces an emotion. And if you and I wanna look at the quality of our life, there's only a way to find it. One way really, that's real. How do you feel every day? If every day of your life you got $1 billion and every day you feel guilty or angry, by the way, nothing worse than an angry rich man or woman, isn't there? You just want to slap them, don't you? How do you have the right to be angry? They find a way. But if you got $1 billion and you're angry and you're pissed off and you're guilty all the time, what is the quality of your life? Angry, pissed off, and guilty. If you have nothing, I live in Fiji a portion of the time. I have a home there and a resort there and kind of 2 families of villages there that I interact with the last 25 years. And when you go to Fiji and you walk down the street or you drive by, people jump up and they yell, "Bula, bula, bula," which means welcome, be happy, we love you. And you drive by 5 minutes later and they jump up, "Bula, bula, bula." And you're going like, what drugs are they taking? No one's paying them. But they're so happy. They're in such a different state. They've learned to focus on something else and come up with a different meaning for life. But if the meaning is it's the end, if the meaning is that you're dissing me, if the meaning is you don't care, whatever meaning we come up with, that affects the third decision, which is what am I going to do? And what people do is based on the meaning, since the meaning creates emotion, right? You can be miserable no matter what you have, and you can be euphoric having nothing. We all know it's true. In fact, is it possible to learn to let, for example, all hell could be breaking loose around you, and you could just be sitting in a chair in this centered space, all hell breaking loose, and you could still feel great? Is that possible? Yes or no? Yes or no? Sure, but you and I live in a Western culture. Well, if you sit and bliss out, people come and take your furniture. So we have to be good at not only controlling the internal world, but our external world. And that's shaped by what we do. And what people do is based on their emotions and also their role models. So I thank you, Mark, and I thank all of you that are role models for people, where you show people That success does not mean taking, that success can mean truly growing and giving. That money, resources, and opportunity are things to be shared. They're things that are tools for quality of life to be able to enhance for people and for yourself and your family. Very beautiful thing.
All right. Okay. Who wants to share? What were your thoughts on that? Any ahas, any questions? Have you seen that before? What kind of thoughts do you have?
Personally, I really like Tony Robbins. I find him to be very motivating and inspirational. And sometimes you just need that little pick me up in the morning to get you going, keep you moving forward.
I agree. Do you have a habit, Donna, not to put you on the spot, but do you have a habit of putting good, positive things into your head every day in the morning?
I have a morning routine, and I've shared that with Candace as well. When I get up in the morning, I meditate for 30 minutes. I do 2 separate meditations. They're meditations for gratitude. And then I watch something motivational like that or other motivational videos on YouTube, and I write down my affirmations. If I have a chance, I also read for a few minutes, but that's my morning routine. And when I can start the day with my morning routine, I just feel like I'm starting off on the right foot.
That is awesome. That is awesome. What time do you have to wake up to do all that stuff?
Well, to do it the way I want to do it without rushing, I get up at 4:45. If I'm up later than that, then I feel like I'm rushing. So no later than 5.
All right. All right. Well, that takes a hell of a lot of discipline. So congratulations. And I've got to assume that if it's not working for you, you would have stopped a long time ago, right?
Oh, don't get me wrong. There have been periods of time when I've stopped, but I don't feel good when I stop. So I need to get right back on track and start my 66-day challenge all over again.
All right. All right. All right. Anyone else want to share some good news or thoughts on the video we just saw? What's on your mind this morning? Anything? Oh, we have a brand new licensee at Keller Williams Roswell. Her name is Sanithia Hunter. She is joining us today to check out the productivity group.
Hey, Sanithia.
Hi, how are you?
Sanithia is friends with Ebony Eccles, and Ebony did a kind of like a online Zoom thing, like maybe, I don't know, maybe 5-6 months ago or so. And it was kind of a study group / like informational session / like let's learn a little bit about the real estate business. And Sanithia was actually on that, and Ebony invited me to chat for a couple minutes. So Sanithia has been working on this gig for a while, and today is the day, or yesterday was the day technically. So welcome, glad you're here, and take notes. We're gonna hopefully learn a lot today. Okay.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say too, I'm just grateful to just be here in this moment. Since I literally was like 17, I always kind of knew that like college wasn't for me, but I've been working in property management since I got out of school. And then leading up to this moment, I've just been really consistent on doing my real estate. Starting so young, I don't know, I don't think I was focused enough. So now coming back, I just feel like I took the class twice, and then after taking the class twice, I took the extra state exam. I took it 5 times, and it was just like the constantly just going and going. It's like I felt like I was kind of going a little crazy, because I'm like, I love to do this. This is what I want to do. Like, I have no other option. This is what I'm going to do. And I just stay consistent, and I just feel so like grateful to just be in this moment right here, just to even be on the call with all you guys. Like, it's just kind of making me watery, because I just created this whole thing. So I'm truly appreciative, for real.
Welcome.
That's
And you worked really hard.
Fantastic.
We're grateful to be here with you.
Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you so much.
Man, that gave me chills. That was awesome.
No, she's got me all teary-eyed now.
I mean,
I know, me too.
this is just a reminder
Yeah.
that, no matter how long we've been, kind of chasing a dream or really thinking about something, it all comes down to, using a real estate business as an opportunity to have exactly the life that you want to have,
Yeah.
right? Exactly the income that you want to have, exactly the way you're going to spend your minutes, the people you're going to hang out with, the things you're going to learn. Like the door is wide open for all of us. And the beautiful thing is, Sunitha, you got a group of 77 people around you. Well, you got a group of over 300 agents around you at the office. And if ultimately you come to to PC, you'll have even additional support with this group, because this is a giving group here. This is a group that celebrates together and handles challenges together and congratulates one another and gives of their time and their energy. So I very much appreciate you sharing that. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
wouldn't describe us as a group. I'd describe us as a family. So welcome to the family, Sunithia.
I appreciate that so much, guys.
Thank you. Man, you kind of changed the whole energy of the day. That was great. That's my motivational piece for the day. That was awesome.
Me too.
In a great way.
Better than Tony.
Changed it in a great way. Yeah.
Yeah, you might have beat Tony Robbins on that one. All right. Let's jump right in. Today's topic, actually, let me do just a tiny bit of housekeeping really fast. So later today, from 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock, I just want to remind you that Sam Jackson is doing a technology and social media mastermind just for PC people. The link is on the email, and I'll send that out as soon as they send me a reminder of what it is. And today from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock is the Launch Mastermind in this room. So if you'd like to come back, last week's Launch Mastermind was probably the best we've ever had. I think we had 7 or 8 people that were all dealing with a variety of challenges in their business and wanted some ideas from their peers. And Candace and I were able to kind of be a facilitator and not turn it into a lecture, but to really help you guys help one another and put some ideas out there. So I'd encourage you to attend that if you're able. So that's from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock today. Next Friday, we're going to be having Campbell and Brannon, who are relatively new alliance partners with, from the closing attorney standpoint. We're going to have a couple of representatives on the call from 12 to 1 next Friday, where they're going to go over a little bit of what they do and closing process and that kind of thing. So you can kind of better have more insight into what happens with a file when you send it over to the closing attorney. And in just a couple of minutes, we're going to be releasing the schedule for next week as well. So make sure you're tuning into that. There will be some events on there that are hosted in Candace's Zoom room. The link will be sent out in the email. It's been sent out on the chat. It is at the top of all the descriptions for the WhatsApp groups. And just make sure you take a close look at what's happening and what room it's in. Okay, any questions on any of that? Okay. When you guys think about standards, what do you think about? When I say the word standards, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Anybody?
Boundaries.
Boundaries. Okay. Okay. What does that mean, Corey?
I think just like I will be willing to accept this, but not that. I expect this. I will not allow that. You have an expectation of a certain level of whatever we're talking about.
Okay, I want to dig at that slightly. So when you said I will not accept blank, I will accept this, I will not accept that. To me, that kind of sounds like it is a discussion that's happening with you and one other person. Like maybe it almost sounds like that's what happens when a supervisor talks to the person who's being supervised. Is that fair to say? So the supervisor.
That could be one scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. So like, let's say somebody says, hey, I'm your supervisor. I expect you to do 10 calls. If you make 10 calls, high fives. If you don't make 10 calls, it's unacceptable. And we're gonna have to talk about whether you get to hang out, whether we're gonna be in a business relationship anymore. Is that, I know there's many, many ways to interpret that, but is that fair to say it's one of them?
Sure.
Okay, so one thing that a lot of independent contractors experience is that they don't realize that they're both people. You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
So they're not only the worker bee, but they're the worker bee's supervisor, if you will, or the owner of the organization, right? Or the visionary for the organization, or the CEO of the organization. And so sometimes it's very difficult for you to sit, like, let's say in the CEO seat and say, what are the standards for my real estate organization? Determine what they are, and then leave that seat and go be the one who executes on all of them. So a lot of times what I see when I'm talking to agents is many people get into this business because they don't want a boss, but many of them don't even want to be their own boss. And if you can figure out how to do that, boy, this business will be a hell of a lot easier than it currently is for you, right? So I feel like I kind of hijacked your thought a little bit. Tell me a little bit more about what you specifically were referring to.
No, that was great because I mean, yeah, you're right. When I think of standards, it's not always between two people. It's really, for me, it's about what my expectations are for any given topic or life situation. So, but I love the idea of thinking about it in terms of, because really at the heart of everything, we're talking about real estate business and how to grow that. So being your own boss, and and it's really, it's not even just like two things, it's all the things. It's, we're the CEO, we are the
Buyer's agent, listing agent,
yeah, all of those things.
The
Marketing,
the bookkeeper, the runner, right? The business card.
Yeah, contract to close. So we decide how are we going to manage all of those things, and there are a lot of questions that sometimes, by asking questions of ourselves, that can be very informative, and at least for me, I know that
I would
when
venture
people
to say that 100% of the time that you ask questions of yourself, it will be a learning experience.
Yeah, I mean, because sometimes you just don't think about it, or it's a guide. So like, and I'm sure there's something somewhere, in our all of our materials, but do you, would it be worth your time or money to be the contract to close, to serve as that person,
Yeah.
or and take that down the line with all of the different roles. But yeah, I think it's so standards, and I'll just throw it back to you because I don't know where you wanted to take it from here.
Well, I want to welcome anyone else that wants to chime in, but when you hear the word standard, how do standards play a role in your life, right? What are the standards? I mean, there could be standards for how to be a great wife or husband. There could be a standard for how you handle your diet or your exercise. There could be standards for how you learn new concepts. There could be standards for, like, hey, I return all phone calls within an hour, or I return all phone calls within 3 days, or I respond to every email that's sent to me. Standards could be anything. So what are some of the number one, what do you think about that? And number two, how have you ever spent the time to say, look, I'm a business owner now, right? I may not have a wonderfully profitable business or a huge business, but I am a business owner, and there's no one that cares more about this business than me. So when people think about my business, what do I want them to think about? Dependable, reliable, showy, arrogant, rude, quick, patient. I mean, it could be anything. It could be positive or negative. So what have you thought about with respect to your business, with respect to standards? Who else wants to speak up?
I will. I think for me, ethics and morals play like a huge role. And I think if you let that be your guide a lot of times, do the right thing, I think it will work out.
I think that's great. I mean, that's at the top of the belief system of KW, right? Win, win, or no deal, right? Do the right thing, right? So if you win, there's a way for, let's say if Michael and I are in a transaction, there's a way for us both to leave that transaction feeling like we won. That's what an ideal transaction looks like. I don't really particularly want to be a part of a transaction where one wins and one loses. I don't even care if I'm the winner. I don't want that. I want the person that I'm engaged with to feel like they're winning. Because if they're not feeling like they're winning, they're not going to stay in the engagement very long. And it's not my nature to purposely take advantage of somebody. Make sense? Okay, so who has some standards in their business or their life that they'd feel comfortable sharing? And then speak to how you manage that, kind of like, when do you think about it? Like, do you record it? Like, do you assess it or reassess it? Like, how have standards played a role in your life? Are we too like 10,000 feet? Do we need to get in the weeds a little bit? Am I being too philosophical?
Bill, shall I share a little bit?
Please.
So I have some personal philosophies that I live by, and they set the standards for everything. The first one is the golden rule. And I even take that to another level. Treat people the way they want to be treated, not, don't treat people the way you want to be treated, treat people the way they want to be treated, which takes a little investigation. 2 is small minds talk and deal in people, average minds deal in places and events, and great minds deal in ideas. So I try to stay in those upper 2 a little bit more than the lower one, even though there's nothing wrong with, saying, like, talking about Tony Robbins as a motivator. The third one is, for every man-made problem, there's a man-made solution. That just means that everything can be worked out. No matter what's happening with a deal, everything can be worked out. So those are 3 of the ones. I have a whole bunch more, but those are 3 of the ones that really apply to my business every day.
Beautiful.
We need like
I don't want to
like 1, 2, 3 bullet from you. That was great.
That first one, Candace, was super powerful. I want to make sure everyone heard that very clearly. Say that one more time.
The golden rule is treat people the way you want to be treated, but if you take it to the next level, treat people the way they want to be treated.
All right, beautiful. So how do you treat people the way they want to be treated?
That's the platinum rule.
The platinum rule. How do you treat people the way that they want to be treated? There are several things that have got to happen in order to pull that off. And as Candace quickly alluded to, you got to find out how they want to be treated, right?
Yeah, you've got to ask questions.
Right, which comes from asking questions, which comes from active listening, which comes from recording what they say, or whatever you got to do to make sure it finds its way to your brain, right? And it's remembered, right? You got to be patient enough you got to be interested and curious enough to even bother to ask. And then you got to be patient enough to learn, even if it comes to you slowly. And then you'll be able to deliver the goods in a way that they want them to be delivered, right? And then you're instantly in rapport, and the rest is history. So I want you to think a little bit, maybe today or this weekend, about what standards you're comfortable introducing into your world. Now, I'm going to encourage you not to go list 25 different standards, because what'll end up happening is you'll probably do all 25 of them mediocrely, and you probably won't even do all 25 of them mediocrely. I'd rather you come up with 1 or 2 and nail them for a few weeks, and then introduce another one and nail that for a few weeks, right? So an example of a standard, and we can kind of pair this with the idea that we kind of alluded to a little bit, or very briefly, the other day, was the 4-3-2-1 standard, right? The standard of my real estate organization is I don't stop working in the week if I have not set an appointment. I don't care if it's family reunion, if it's mega camp, if I got a friend in town, if somebody's sick, I got a blah, 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 blah. The standard of my business is that I set an appointment per week. Okay. I'm not saying that's got to be your standard. I'm just saying come up with something that is results driven, results oriented, and essentially promise yourself that that's what you're going to do. Because if you go kind of through your business and act like there are no standards, then it's as if you're treating it like a hobby, right? And if you treat it like a hobby, as Gary Keller says, it will pay you like a hobby. And the only change I would make to what Gary says is, I think you'd probably be lucky for it to pay you like a hobby, right? Intentionality is just it's just another way of saying standards. I get intentional about what's important to me in my business and what I want my business to do for me and my income and my lifestyle and my family and all that. And then I get real clear on what my standard's going to be. And I make sure my calendar allows that to happen. And then I just get to work, right? So maybe your standard is you do 20 push-ups before you brush your teeth. Maybe your standard is you call your mother every day. Maybe your standard is you tell your spouse you love them every day. I mean, it could be anything, but are you willing to just commit to it? All right, what have you guys heard? Who else has a thought on that? Corey, you're cracking me up. Travis, did you want to say something? You guys are awful quiet today. You must be saving your voice for the telephone, huh? All right, somebody close this out. What's on your mind? Are we in deep thought? Are we creating our standards?
You all should listen to that song that I posted in the chat. It's a good song about standards. Doesn't really apply to real estate, but it's still good, motivating and upbeat. So I think, one of the standards for ourselves can be get into the mental state that we need to be in to succeed in this job. And how do we do that? Donna talked about a great morning routine, meditation and affirmations and, anything you need to do. So figure it out what it is for you and do it. And, get the accountability you need if you need. And this advice, by the way, is just as much for myself. I need this. I am not preaching at all because I need this as much as anybody else who might need it here on this call. So,
yeah.
But yeah.
And maybe a standard is that you come to the one-on-one or the group coaching session or the 8:30 session, or you come to every team meeting, right? It's kind of like if you set an appointment with a buyer or seller, it's your standard to keep the appointment, right? Do you display that type of, do you have that same, is it that important with your other commitments? Make sense? I'll just get one more thought and then we'll call it a day.
I think standards also help your clients to know what they can expect from you.
I was
if you're
somebody would say that.
The same type of service every time, and then they refer you and the person that they referred you to gets the same service, that same level of service. So it helps to reinforce expectations too.
I love that. And guess what, guys? If you can have all the standards you want, and some of them are personal and some of them are meant to be shared, but if you don't share your business standards with your prospects and customers and clients, they don't know that you're any different, right? I want to share with you that one of my standards, Mrs. Seller, is that every day from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, I am on the phone finding buyers for my sellers and finding sellers for my buyers. You're probably going to meet a lot of real estate agents that want to work with you. Just ask them what their lead generation standard is, because you'll hear a lot of different answers, right? Do you have a standard to practice your presentation every day or every week? Do you have a standard to review your business and your financials, every week or every month? What's your standard? Make sense? I feel like there was somebody else that wanted to chime in. Was it you, Pam? I thought I saw one
Yeah.
more
Yes.
square light up. All right, go ahead.
It was me. I've tried to live a little, there was a title of a book and I never read the book, but I loved the title of it. And it's called Attitude is Your Paintbrush. It colors every situation.
Kind of like what we heard with Tony Robbins.
Exactly, exactly.
Kind of full circle, right? Look, the world is going to happen. And we've talked a little bit about this because KW's got kind of a model for that, right? The world, life happens. That's kind of in the middle. And we can take an accountability response to it, or we could take a victim response to it. I'm not saying you don't deserve to mourn and these kind of things. But the question is you couldn't control that. Like it just happened. So now what are we going to do? Right? Are we going to use this as a moment to grow, to share, to get closer to those that we love, to make a bigger impact? Or are we going to retreat and not give the world what we're capable of giving them? Does that make sense?
Well, and it's not just giving the world, it's giving ourselves, our families, as we've mentioned, our business. It's giving all of those.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. I think that's a great way to wrap up. I'll summarize in 1 second. What are your standards? So maybe this week, let's do a tiny bit of what I might call homework, but I don't want you to hear that word, which is what is one personal standard that you have or that you're willing to implement into your life today? And what is one business standard that you are willing to implement into your world today? Right? Think that through. It could be the way you communicate. It could be the how you spend your time. It could be what you do with your family. It could be exercise, diet. I mean, it could be anything. But I want you to really think through what is a standard that I'm willing to commit to. One for my business, one for my personal. Is that fair? All right, Monday, I'm probably going to ask you about that unless I forget. So somebody remind me. Okay. All right, y'all.
Okay. Have a great weekend.
All right. Take care. Have a great weekend. See you in a little while.
Everybody.